it's Holly. I am back on my YouTube channel. We're gonna do something fun today. So let's get started. So I posted that people can send me questions because I'm gonna do a 20 questions Q&A. So over the last couple months, you guys have sent in questions. And so today I'm gonna answer them, which is fun because I don't know these questions. And I think some of them are music related, but then some of them are also like personal. So it's going to be fun going back and forth. So we're going to start with Holly's version of 20 questions as a songwriter and just as Holly herself. So this will be a fun get to know me, kind of interested to see what you guys want to know. But we're gonna start off. So question 1, what is my favorite color? Purple. I do a lot of black and white, but I think that's just because it's easy for me. It's like if it's black, I can keep it black, and if it's white, then I can keep it white. So I do a lot of black and white, but my favorite color is purple. As you would know, if you look back on my past track of when I was 16, and I don't play it as much live because it's older and it's one of my favorite instruments, but my first guitar was purple and I still have it, and that's the guitar I write the majority of my songs on, and I keep it at home, but my favorite color is purple. So there you go. That's an obvious one though, I think, to everybody who knows me. What is my writing process? This is good. So I actually had this question. Somebody asked me this at a show I played. My writing process is different every time. Over the years of songwriting, it has changed drastically. I remember when I first started songwriting, I'd start with melodies or I'd start with guitar chords. Then I started with lyrics. Then I started with lyric melody stuff. And then I had problems back when I was in my teen years finding chords to fit the melodies I had. So I'd have to alter the melodies I had because I wasn't good with music theory at that point. So it has changed so much. I have gone from chords first, piano first, guitar first, lyrics first, melody first. I've top lined. I've kind of done it all. So ideas first, concepts. I've kind of written in every way. So my writing process changes and is different every time. But basically, I don't really, I'm not the person that's we're gonna sit down and write a song today. I can't do that. I'll get an idea for a song in the middle of the night. Those are those are the ones that I'm why? And it's just because my mind shuts off. And everybody in town knows this. I said that at one show, and I've been held to that, of the girl that writes songs in the middle of the night, which is the oddest thing to be known for. But I get them in the middle of the night. I'll get them in the shower is another one. When I'm in the shower, sometimes I have to have a notebook by my shower because I'll be oh, I need to write this down. That's when I get my best ideas. In the shower, in the middle of the night. Well, actually, I can't say in the middle of the night are my best ideas. Those are ideas I usually don't cut. Because it's just it's the middle of the night. However, Max Martin wrote Baby One More Time for Britney Spears in the middle of the night. So I don't know if that's a trend thing or something, but typically my writing process starts with an idea, or a lyric or something. I know I wrote a song called Self Love, and that started with chords on the guitar. So I can't really say I have a process to it. I don't really have any rituals. I don't really have anything of that sort. It just kind of comes when it comes. But writing process in the long run, it's I'll write the song. Typically, I come up with the majority of the song. I don't do a lot of co-writing, and if I do, I usually don't cut those songs. So typically, I'm 90% the songwriter. Sometimes there's a fix or two, but if it's my name on it, it's yeah. So my writing process is just different. That's not a very good answer, but it's just different every time. So yeah, that's a terrible answer, but I really don't have a process. Secret ambition. So my secret ambition growing up was, I told my mom, I'm I want to be like Shania Twain. That was my secret ambition, I guess. And it's not so secret because I'm a songwriter now. But like secret ambition that nobody knew about. I was like, when I was little, I wanted to be like a performer or an entertainer, or I want to be a fashion designer. But growing up and getting to know myself better, I obviously am still a creative. I'm a songwriter. But my secret ambition would probably be being like a private pilot. I love aviation. I always have. I have no idea what my fascination is with it, but I love jets and planes. So it would be like between a pilot or a Victoria's Secret angel, because I'm like, they just look like it's so much fun to just walk the runway. So like a runway model would be fun, or like an F1 IndyCar driver, because I drive too fast. So, but I do it safely. Like my dad, he does race cars, so I know how to drive. But it would be between a pilot, a VS Angel, or an F1 like race car driver. But I really think a pilot would be fun. That's something that would be on like my bucket list, to get my pilot's license. I love aviation. Always have. That and yachts and boats. But something about like flying to me just amazes me. So that's probably my secret ambition, to be like a private pilot or something. Because then I could go really fast. And I could go anywhere in the world. Anyway, moving on. Celebrity I'd trade closets with. So style-wise, there's like so many people. Like iconic ones, I love Marilyn Monroe. This day and age, though, I feel like if I were to switch with somebody, I feel like I could switch with Bella Hadid. I feel like she'd have my back. Like, she's got some cool outfits. Like, she's got street style, but then her like red carpet dresses are phenomenal. And it's just, they're sparkly, but they're not like super like girly-ish. I'm more like vintage Hollywood glamour versus like girly prom sparkles. Girly prom sparkles and sequins to me, I don't like, but it's like diamond shiny glitter. Hollywood glamour is more my style. And she's kind of like, I think encompasses that when she goes towards like a gown or something. And she's got good street style. So probably that would be my best bet, and probably who I'd switch with is Bella Hadid. Okay. Favorite animal? A cheetah. That's like my favorite. I also love polar bears, but a cheetah is definitely probably my favorite. 1, because it's a cat. 2, because it's really fast. And 3, because they just amaze me also. I have no idea. They've always been my favorite. Like the Cheetah Girls. When Disney had the Cheetah Girls, that was my thing. I was obsessed with the Cheetah Girls. And then the Shania Twain leopard print outfit. So, came back to fashion, but definitely my favorite animal is a cheetah. Superpower. These are all falling back into each other. And so you guys have good questions. But what superpower would I have if I could have one? That would be to fly. Because, I mean, once again, going back to being a pilot, I could go anywhere in the world. Like, I could fly. I could just be like, zoom, I'm off. So my superpower would be to fly, because then I could fly everywhere. And I wouldn't have to pay to go on flight, and I wouldn't have to like worry about baggage or carry-ons or stuff. I just take what I wanted with me in my backpack and fly. But anyway, so my superpower would be if I could fly. What is my favorite instrument? Okay, what is my favorite instrument? So I play guitar, voice, piano, bass, ukulele. Is that it? I think that's it. I can play a little bit of harmonica. But I think that's it. My top favorite instrument, hands down, is voice. Like all day long, I love doing voice. That's my favorite thing to do. And I'd say next to voice, it's piano, which is ironic because I don't play piano well. And I think that's why I like it, because there's no stress for me. I'm like, I know I suck at it. So it's like, there's no stress. Where guitar, I've played it so long, I just feel like I have this thing in my mind of I should be better. Like I should be the like Jimi Hendrix. Like I should be better. And it comes down to a stressor for me most of the time. I purely just like to sing. That's my favorite instrument is voice. And my voice coach knows that because I like to be pushed in voice to know, like, I love learning new things in voice and trying them out and seeing how far I can go. So that's probably that's my favorite instrument, is definitely voice. My favorite song I ever wrote. This is a good one. So my favorite song I ever wrote, that would be the song Fighter. And I think when I wrote it, I knew it was going to be one of my favorites, because I pushed so hard to record that one. I knew when I wrote it there was something special about it, and every time I worked on it, it got better, and I just kept pushing for it. And some people told me not to record it, and I felt like I needed to, because I just felt it was very special and something about it. And then I finally presented it to someone, and they're like, you should record this one, Holly. Like, you need to record this one. Like, this one needs to be yours. And so when I did that, everybody I played it for liked it. And I've had people tell me that it's a hit song, or at least it would have been a hit song a couple years ago if Spotify and all this stuff hadn't happened. And in my gut, like, I knew, like, there's something special about this song. And then so Fighter, now when I go out and play places, like, that's a song everybody knows, like, which I think is so cool to me. I've been multiple instances, people they'll sing the chorus line back to me. It's like, you made me a fighter, braver, stronger, wiser. And then they'll just be like, you made me. And they'll do that. And I think that's like the coolest thing ever. Also, when they do that, they don't tell me that they're singing my song. And for some odd reason, I'll be like, oh, I love that song. You made me a teenage dream. And I don't know why I mess up the two, but I've had that happen to me multiple times where they're singing my song to me and I'm like, oh, I love that song, Teenage Dream. And it's not Teenage Dream. So I don't know what the connection is with them. Anyway, that's probably my favorite song because it's just grown to be something. It also ended up landing on a national playlist for women with breast cancer and breast cancer survivors. And I had one lady reach out and say that your song helped me through my recovery and my remission. And I think it's remission, is that what it's called? Recovery through her chemo. And that was special. So I didn't ever think when I was writing the song that it would reach somebody like that. So that's probably one of my favorite songs, just because it was one that I put out purely because I felt like I needed to, and it reached and touched so many people and helped them through stuff. And also when I go to shows, people sing it back to me. I mistakenly mistake my own song for somebody else's song, and then I get the gist of like, oh wait, I wrote that, which isn't an odd feeling, but it's a funny feeling because it's like, wow, people like are resonating with my story and like they remember the song and they're singing it back and they're playing it over and over again. And it sounds very radio. It sounds very professional. And so that's probably my favorite one. That's the one I'm most proud of. And it also got a club remix, which I love. So it's like, that's on my playlist. I play Fighter in the car and I'm just like, oh my God, I wrote this song. This is awesome. And I'm like, I wish I could be as cool as her. And I am her. Yes, I did write the song, but I sit there and I'm just like, man, I wish I wrote the song. And I'm like, oh wait, I did. So that's like my favorite song because I'm just like, it's one of those things of like, oh my God, I wrote that. My most proud moment. So my most proud moment ever, I think, was buying my car. And that's because I bought the car I wanted and I didn't cower down to like something I didn't want. Everybody gave me a hard time about it because I wanted a car that just people told me I couldn't afford and I couldn't have. I wanted a Range Rover and I was like, I didn't have a job at the time I said that. I didn't have anything. I was just I was a teenager. I'm like, I'm going to have a Range Rover. Like, that's going to be my car. And I remember, like, one of my dad's employees, he's like, you're never going to have that, basically. And just kind of like, ha, 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 you're never going to have. And I had, like, also other people tell me, like, you're never going to have that. Like, you're not going to get that. And so I'd go up to the dealership and I'd be like, there was this one lady that worked at the dealership, and I'm like, so I want one of these cars. I tried it out, and my mom went with me, and I'm like, I want one of these. Like, this is what I want. And I think I manifested it, because from there, I ended up getting side hustles. I invented my own side hustles. I did everything, and I used my mom's car from the point I got my license at 18, because I was late to get my license because I didn't want to pay driver's ed. Because I had spent my driver's ed money on vocal lessons. Woohoo. And so I went and I took driver's ed at 18, so I didn't have to pay it. So I just took the test and I passed, and I drove my mom's car till I was 21. So I drove my mom's car. She let me borrow it for 3 years. So for 3 years, any place I had to go, I'd borrow my mom's car, which I'm grateful for. Thank you, Mom. For letting me do that, which saved on gas, payment, and everything. So everything I was saving there, I'd put in a savings account. So every time I'd have to go fill up my mom's car, obviously it was her car, we shared it. So she'd fill it up, and then I'd go and I'd put that money towards a car payment in a savings account. And so when I did that, it eventually accumulated over time, and I got high interest rate on it. So when I went to finally buy a car, everybody kind of like gave me a hassle, like, you're never going to have a Range Rover, like, you're never going to be able to do that. And it was my most proud moment when I went up that day, and I'm like, I'm going to buy this. And I took my down payment check out of my savings account that I had put aside for just car, and I had a container that I'd put extra change in for, like, when I got a car payment, that it would be there, because I was living with my parents too. So everything I would have spent on rent, gas, and all that, I'd put in a savings account. And when I went to buy my car, I paid it. And that was the best thing. I took a 5-year loan and I paid it off in one. I think it was like 1.5. I paid my loan off in a 1.5 years. And then on top of that, my parents, I'm very grateful for them. They helped me out. Didn't charge me rent, but I would pay for some of the house, like, expenses. Mostly I'd pay, like, groceries. I think it was every other week I'd pay groceries for the house, or I'd help them out, or try to as much as I could, since I was just working side hustles and detailing cars and selling stuff online. And I'd go to TJ Maxx and I'd buy everything out of the clearance bin, and then I'd sell it online for, like, I remember I'd go get dollar handbags on clearance by Aldo, and then I'd sell them online for $45. So after you do a couple of those, I'm like, well, there's my month payment for my car, and there's, like, money to buy furniture when I move out, and I do that. And so I'd have other things. When the pandemic hit, I'd buy shoes from Italy, because, like, nobody wanted to pay the import fee because the pandemic was going on. So I'm like, I'll pay the import fee. And I got, I think, 4 pairs of shoes that were valued at like $2,300 a piece for like $200 a pair. So I'd sell those online, and, you know, there's like a $1,600 profit there on each pair. And so I do stuff like that. I also sold magazines, Easy Riders. Some issues would go for $3.50, other ones would go for $75. It's all dependent. But anyway, long story short, everybody told me I wouldn't ever be able to have that car. And my car's name is Eloise. If you follow me on TikTok, it's Eloise. And that was my proud moment when I drove it off the lot, because I'm like, for the first time I had something to my name that was my own, and I'm like, I own this, nobody can take it away. And it was just a proud moment for me. That was one of my biggest purchases at the time. So that was my proudest moment. A lot of people can be proud of other things, and I was like, my proudest moment's like, I bought my car. Because I was just unheard of. Like, at 21, I went up to the lot, and I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna buy this myself, a Range Rover, Land Rover. And so I did. I said I was going to, and I did. So I think I kind of manifested it in some sense. But it's the power of determination, I always say. What was the other question after that? Favorite place I've ever traveled to. I have never been out of America. I hope to eventually, one day. But my favorite place I've ever traveled to is Malibu, California. I'm like, that's my goal. I eventually want to live there. I love the Pacific. I love the PCH. I loved everything about California. The lifestyle, I feel like I'm a California girl anyway. I'm like surfing, beach waves, paddleboarding, hiking, outdoors, like old Hollywood, the Hollywood sign, like historical, but also new and modern, sunlight all year round, palm trees. I'm like, that's my vibe. So that was my favorite place I ever visited, and I just had a blast out there. I told my mom when I was there, because she went with me, because this was when I was like 19 or 20, and she went with me. I'd never been there. That was I went to Malibu, and I told my mom, I'm like, I could stay here forever. Like, I could stay here forever and never have to leave. Like, I love it here. So I'm like, that was my favorite place I think I've ever been. Nobu on the beach. Yeah, the Grove. I mean, just fresh fruit every day, all day long, sunlight. It was my favorite place ever. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Good questions, people. Where do I see myself in 5 years? I have no idea. Absolutely no idea. Because I've learned since moving to Nashville that life has its own path, and I have no idea where mine. I can think where I think I'll be, and it's not. Life and the universe have a bigger plan. When I moved down to Nashville, I didn't think 4 months later that my coach would pass away. That put a big hitch in like where I thought I'd be in 5 years. I kind of had to recreate my life. I was working at Whole Foods. I'm like, I don't know how long I'm going to be here. I thought I'd have a job at like a publishing house as a songwriter. I didn't have that. The industry's changed so much that it's like you don't need a label anymore. It's kind of like, it's just different. So where do I see myself in 5 years? I have absolutely no idea. Absolutely no idea. Which I like it that way. You know, I was the girl growing up that always had to be like the master of the long run. Like, this is where I'm going to go. Which I do still have that of like where I want to go, and you strive for that. But I've learned in my time of doing stuff that you got to just let life take you where it's going to go, and let life do what it's going to do, because you can't plan everything. And sometimes there's a better ending in mind. Sometimes there's better things coming than you could ever imagine. So where will I be in 5 years? I have no idea. Absolutely no idea. And I like it that way, because then it's a surprise and it's an adventure. So that's a good question. My favorite Nashville venue to play. So a lot of people probably think I'm going to say the Bluebird or some iconic venue. However, I am going to say Virgin Hotels or Commodore. Probably my favorite place to play is Virgin Hotels. One, because it's easy to get to. And it's always organized. The same thing with Commodore. It's easy to get to and it's always organized. Bluebird is like sardines in a can, which it's a cool venue, but I played it and I'm like, I do not enjoy this. But Virgin Hotels or Commodore Grill, I have room to breathe. Like, they're very nice to their artists. Everything's ready to go. They're just accommodating, and they just make my job easy. So those are my two favorite ones, and they're also easy to get to. So those are, whenever there's like a show where there's an opening, I'm like, I will play. So those are my two favorite Nashville venues to play. My favorite Nashville bar. I'm not a big bar goer, only because I've played in so many bars. I'm like, if I'm playing here, this is not where I want to spend my free time. So one of my favorite bars, though, is this one called Harriet's on the Rooftop. It is closer to downtown, but it's not downtown, but it's like more eclectic bar where there's like just fun stuff going on. They're more my speed. They're very like outdoors oriented, earthy oriented. So they're kind of like modern. So they'll have like just different things going on. It's at a place called One Hotel, and it's just more my vibe. It's more like upscale and clean. So that's my favorite bar, Harriet's on the Rooftop. My favorite season of the year, summer. Growing up, it was always winter, but I like summer. Like, bring on summer. That's my favorite. Favorite thing about yourself? I don't know if that means, like, are we saying, like, personality or, like, appearance, or... I'm going to say, because I don't know which way this is intended to go, but I'm going to say my favorite thing about myself is my eyes. Because, one, I like to see and discover things, and I have blue eyes like my dad, but I'm also told I have blue eyes that are a different shade than most people have seen. For a while, I thought they called it violet eyes, which doesn't really mean you have purple eyes. It just means that sometimes they have a pigment to them that is different than others, and they're rarer. But I had a photo shoot recently, and the photographer, to get the lighting right, they have to zoom in on your eye to know if the light's correct. And so when she was zooming in, she's like, "You have lightning in your eyes." And I'm like, "I have lightning in my eyes?" So the white, I don't know if they're veins, but the white lines on your iris, I have white lines, which I'm assuming I'm assuming they're veins, on my blue iris that look like lightning. So she was calling me lightning eyes, or that I had lightning eyes, and I thought that was cool. And I've had other people tell me that too. So probably my favorite thing about myself is my blue eyes, because it reminds me of like where I come from, which is like I'm my dad, and I really am. There's photos of me and my dad that we look like twins, which is scary, but also not. That's a good thing, so I at least know that, I wasn't adopted. But I think my favorite thing is my eyes, because I've had a lot of people tell me like they're unique, and also I'm proud of them, because it's like blue isn't like a natural occurring color, really. I mean, it is, but it's like, I don't know. It's just something I've always liked. I'm like, ooh, I'm proud of it. I have blue eyes. And I used to have people call me too when I was in elementary school. They'd call me Blue Eyes. So that's one of my favorite things, probably. My favorite sport, that's basketball. Hands down. I like basketball. I played it growing up, and I still love it to this day. I even have a basketball like underneath my breakfast bar. So, best advice I've ever received. I think there's two pieces of advice I received that's my best. And they both come from coaches I've had and have. One is, I used to complain a lot about the rain, because I'm like, I like sunshine all the time. And I had a coach that told me, sometimes it's good to have a little rain because it makes you sit inside and take it easy. And also, how can you be mad when it's raining? Because the only thing needed for survival in human life is falling down over your face for free. So it's like, how can you think there's anything bad in the world when the universe gives you everything you need for free? So that's one advice that's always like, when you think things are bad, remember that you have everything you need. And everything's only temporary. It's just like a storm. It blows through, and then the sun comes out. Then also, another piece of advice I got recently which has helped me immensely. Like, it has helped me a ton in my life, and it's changed my perspective on how I see things in the best way possible. I am a person that gives out too much of herself sometimes. So I always help people because I know how it feels to be on the other side where nobody helps you. So I had somebody tell me to make a list of people who support me and people that don't. And so I did. And so I made a list of everybody who supports me, and then the ones that don't support me, they don't help me, they just make me feel bad. And they said, now after you have the list, take that half, and if those people that don't support you, don't come up, make you feel bad, come up in your life, ignore them. Just ignore them. So I did that, and it's helped my everything, because those people don't bother me anymore, and I don't give any of my attention to them. Which people can label that as toxic, good or bad, but it's like, it has helped me as a person of like, I'm going to focus my time on these people that make me whole, and I'm going to not avoid, but I'm just not going to give my attention to these people that don't care and just use me for what I have and what I've done and where I am and when they need me. And like, so I have lists of like, these are my people. These people are not my people. Don't get sucked into the hole of thinking they've changed or whatever. Like, avoid it. Just ignore them. So I have my list, and that was a good piece of advice. People can say what they want with it, but it's like, I have my list of people that support me and people that don't. And that changed and helps me a lot, especially in my profession of being in the music industry. My theme song. If my life had a theme song, what would it be? So this one was at my Poptimism show. And I loved the answers of some people. But my theme song would be Dancing Queen by ABBA, from the Mamma Mia movie. But it would be Dancing Queen by ABBA, because I just love ABBA. And also it's a fun song, and it's about somebody who's like free-spirited. Favorite song. What is my favorite song? I have a lot of favorite songs. I think my favorite song though, like, which is a far cry from what I do, but my favorite song is Free Falling by John Mayer. Like, it's originally by Tom Petty, but I love the Free Falling version John Mayer does. So that's probably my favorite song ever. I have a lot of favorite songs, but that's one of my favorites. Like, it's just a good song. If you haven't heard it, you should check it out. The Free Falling John Mayer version. He covers it, and it's just phenomenal. My dream collaboration. I think if I could pick anybody to collaborate with, which it would never happen, because it just can't, would be Michael Jackson. He's one of my favorites. Him, Rihanna. But I think if I could pick anybody to collaborate with, it'd be Michael Jackson, because I think I would learn so much from him. And he is just like the best of all time, in my opinion. In pop music, he was just like the best of all time. So I think it would be Michael Jackson. So that's 20. Good questions, you guys. Yeah, so there. That concludes 20 questions with Holly. Maybe we'll do this again. If you want me to do it again, put something in the comment. Put something in the comments you want me to answer, and we'll do this again. But regardless, have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys soon. Yeah, stream my music. It's out now. You can find my song that I wrote called Fighter, that I said was my favorite, out now. I listen to it in my car, and you can too. So I will see you guys soon, and 20 questions. Bye.